Masechet Betzah Daf 39a1. We are by the two dots, right before the Mishnah. The two dots said, Rabbi Yehuda poter b'mayim. Rabbi Yehuda says that if a woman came and she borrowed water from her friend, and then she mixed it up with her dough, or she cooks it, so then it's not going to be dependent upon that woman's water, which means we don't take attention to the water. She's allowed to carry it wherever her tchum is. We don't pay attention to the woman's water. Mayim in melach lo. So it's mashma only water, but not salt. Tanya, we learned in the Beitzah. One second, there's a Beitzah mefuresh, and the Beitzah says, according to Rabbi Yehuda, whether it's water or a salt, it's going to be batel, whether it's in the dough or in a pot. So why did you tell me only in the Mishnah water? It's water and salt. And so the Gemara asks a question: if it's melech sedomit, which is melech yam, which is very, very dark, so it's not nikar in the isa. If it's not recognizable, so it's batel, and therefore it's like water. But if it's going to be melech istakit, which is basically coming from the ground through human being, so therefore it's bigger, it's thicker, and therefore it's recognizable. There, it's not going to be batel, and that's why we said that it's not going to be batel, and therefore you could only walk according to both of them. So ask the Gemara, Tanya, we learned in the Beitzah, So one second, here it's making differentiation between isa and kedera. In a dough, it is batel. In a pot, it's not batel. Right? Why? Because the mayim is nikar in the rotav tafshil. So answers the Gemara, Allah kashasan a question. If the tafshil is very ave, it's very thick. For example, it's like an isa, and therefore there's not a lot of liquid. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda says the water is going to be batel. But if the liquid, right, is very rach, it's very soft, it's very runny, it's very liquidy. So then what's going to happen is he says the water is not going to be batel, and therefore you're going to have to go only in the maximum that you're able to travel for both of them. Okay? Mishnah. A Mishnah on Lametet Amud Aleph. Says the Mishnah. Yes. Yeah? So it says over like this. Gachelet is keraglei be'alim, which means if you're going to take away the gachelet from the fire, here's the fire. So you could light a candle, that's the shalhevet. If you light a candle from this fire, that's notela shalhevet. So shalhevet is bechol makom. Yeah. Okay, that means it's not going to be makev legabei tchumin. That means as long as I took the fire from here, I could travel anywhere where I want in my tchum. It doesn't depend who put the fire or who did it. Doesn't matter. But the gachelet, the coals, it's like the ba'alim of the gachelet. The gachelet are the coals. If I'm going to take a coal and I'm going to move it now somewhere else to turn on another fire or whatever it is, right? So there, it could only go from an aglea ba'alim. Okay? Gachelet shel ekdesh. If the gachelet belongs to ekdesh, mu'alim ba. There's a problem of mi'ilah. Remember, mi'ilah means that you're not allowed to benefit from kodshim. That's called mi'ilah. If you benefit, you would have to pay back a fifth plus, right? You have to bring a korban mi'ilah. Okay? V'shalhevet lo ne'anim v'lo mu'alim. But the shalhevet, there's no mi'ilah, right? Amotzi gachelet. If you're going to take out a gachelet l'reshut rabim, right? So he says over here, chayav. The shalhevet patur. So here, look, I'm taking from the reshut ayachid to reshut rabim, taking from a private domain to a public domain. I'm going to be chayav on the gachelet. This is the gachelet, the coals. But if I'm going to do the exact same thing with the fire itself, the shalhevet, the flames, I'm going to be patur. Here, I'm winnowing it outside, taking it from the reshut ayachid to reshut rabim. I'm patur in such a case. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Beitzah. Chamisha devarim memru begachelet. Yeah, there were 5 things, yeah, that were said by a gachelet. Okay, gachelet keraglei be'alim v'shalhevet b'chol makom. So number 1, the coals are like the owners of the coals, and the fire is anywhere where you want. Number 2, gachelet shel ekdesh mu'alim ba. Gachelet of ekdesh, there's a problem of mi'ilah. The shalhevet, but the shalhevet, you're not allowed to benefit from it, but there's no mi'ilah if you do benefit from it, which that was our Mishnah until now. Yes. You're not supposed to benefit from it because it belongs to hekdesh. But if you do, there's no mi'ilah. The gachelet, there's a problem of mi'ilah. Okay, that means if this gachelet belongs to the Bet HaMikdash and I now come and I take it, I just did mi'ilah. I benefited from something holy for that belongs to the Bet HaMikdash. The next case is the shalhevet. The shalhevet, I'm not allowed to benefit from it. But if I do, there's no problem with mi'ilah. Okay? Case number 3. Gachelet shel avodah zarah. What happens if the gachelet belongs to avodah zarah? Asura ba'ana, you're not allowed to benefit from it. The shalhevet, but the shalhevet of an avodah zarah, muteret, you're allowed to benefit from it. Okay? Number 4. Hamotzi gachelet reshut rabim. If you're going to take it out to the reshut rabim, So that was also the Mishnah. That means case number 3 was not in the Mishnah, but case number 4 again goes back to the Mishnah. If you're going to take out from the Reshut Yechid to Reshut Rabim, you're going to be chayav because of Otzah. But the flame itself, you're going to be patur. Number 5, this is not in the Mishnah as well. So case number 1, 2, 4 is in the Mishnah. Case 3 and 5 is not in the Mishnah. Hamudar hana'a mechavero. Imagine right now, right? This used to happen a lot of times. I get upset, right, at our dear friend Ronen. So what happens? I make mudar hana'a. Mudar hana'a means I'm not going to benefit from him. I want nothing to do with him. What does that mean? Mudar hana'a. I take away my hana'a from him. I'm not allowed to take any hana'a from him. What? Nothing. No food, no nothing. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, wallow. So what happens? Asur begachalto. So I'm not allowed to use his coals. His coals. Why? Because since I'm mudar hana'a from him, I'm not allowed to benefit anything from him. I can't even use his coals. Obviously not the car, right? There's nothing to talk about. But even his coals, I cannot use his coals. Because he just finished doing his barbecue. I want to take that coal and use it for myself. I'm not allowed to.
If you're in an argument with a person?
No. If you get into an argument with a person and you're mudar hana'a from the person. Mudar hana'a is not just stam. I could get into an argument with a right, left, and center.
Yeah.
Mudar hana'a is different. Mudar hana'a means I come and I make a neder, I'm not going to benefit anything from it. I want nothing to do with it. Right? Not just stam, I get into a fight with a guy. I get into a fight with a guy, there's nothing. It's a mudar hana'a. Mudar hana'a means he makes a neder of hana'a, that I'm not benefiting from him at all. So gachalim, I'm not allowed to benefit from him, but the shalhevet I'm allowed to. Okay? So I'm allowed to come and I'm allowed to take from the shalhevet. Okay? So says the Gemara, see what it said. Maishna shalhevet avodah zarah de sharia, umaishna de ekdesh tasira. He comes and he says, question. Yeah? It says the Gemara, Maishna shalhevet avodah zarah de sharia, umaishna de ekdesh tasira. Why is it that the shalhevet of avodah zarah is going to be permitted, and the shalhevet of ekdesh is a sur? Because remember, by the shalhevet of ekdesh, we said it's a sur, lo ne'anim, aval lo mu'alim. There's no milah. But lechatchila, no. So why are you allowed to benefit from the shalhevet of avodah zarah? Imagine you just made a shalhevet, a flame of an avodah zarah, not you, somebody, right? That I'm allowed to come and I'm allowed to benefit from that. But now if it's ekdesh, I'm not allowed to. What's the difference? If the shalhevet is nothing, because it's not tangible, it's not something that you could take somewhere. So then why is it going to be prohibited? So it says the Gemara, avodah zarah de me'isa ubedile in shemine. Avodah zarah is ma'us, so people segregate themselves from it. So lo gazur barabanan. So the rabbis didn't come and they didn't, meaning avodah zarah is something disgusting. People are, it's avodah zarah. I don't want nothing to do with avodah zarah. So because of that, they separate. So then the rabbis didn't make a decree. You're allowed to use it. Hegdesh de lo ma'is, but hegdesh is not disgusting. It just belongs to the Bet HaMikdash. Velo b'dilei in shemine. So people, they wouldn't separate themselves from it. So Gazu b'Rabbanan, so then the rabbis made a decree. Why? Because if you would start coming and taking the flame of a Vekdesh, so then maybe you're going to start benefiting from other things of Vekdesh as well. You're going to say, what's the big deal? I use the flame. Yeah? For example, Lavdil Elef of the law. People, they come and they, some people, they come, they kill themselves. So they smoke. Yeah? They want to smoke. So take cigarettes. They're going to come and they're going to, so he's going to say, what's the big deal? He's going to take a cigarette, boom, into the fire of the Hekdesh, and now he's going to start smoking. Right? I told you once a joke of Asher Weiss, no? He said, what's the only heter to smoke on Yom Tov? He says, the only heter I ever found was any Isur Chalal Isur. Isur Chalal Isur. That means one thing which is already prohibited cannot fall on something else which is already prohibited. So he says, since it's already prohibited to smoke, you can't say now that it's going to be prohibited to smoke also on Yom Tov, whether Shaveh L'chol Nefesh, no. He says that's the only heter that he could find. You understand that it's going to be permitted. But whatever the case is, but what's the concept? The concept is that he's going to come, he's going to take from the fire, and then he's going to use it. So he's going to say, what's the difference in me benefiting from the fire of Ekdesh or benefiting from Ekdesh? The same thing. Yeah? Salamim Shos. So because of that, what happens? Prohibited. Gazur Rabbanan. The rabbis came and they decreed it's going to be prohibited. Says the 2 dots. Hamotzi gachelet l'reshut rabim. You're going to take the gachelet out to the reshut rabim, you're going to be chayav. But if you take out the shalhevet, which is the flame, you're going to be patur. Says the Gemara V'Atanya, we're going to write Hamotzi shalhevet kolshu. If you're going to take out the shalhevet, you're going to be chayav. Amar Rav Shashat, says Rav Shashat, Kegon Shotziov Bekesam. We're talking about that you took it out with the kesam of etz. So therefore, since a kesam is like a toothpick, right? A small piece of wood. So he says, since that the shalhevet is going to be davuk to something, so you're going to be chayav, right? Even if the shalhevet is called shi. Why? Because once it's attached to something, if it would be by itself, so then that's one thing. But the fact that it's connected to something else, you're chayav on the thing which is connected. Well, the picture. That's the shalhevet by itself.
I don't understand what can you do with it?
He's taking with the thing on the outside. So the fact that it's now on the outside and now it's going to catch on the outside, but I didn't take it out with anything tangible. So that's why you're going to be patur.
Meaning a guy is outside and he wants to
whatever it is.
And he's taking the fire from...
Yeah, the fire is coming over from the Reshut HaYachid to Reshut Rabim. Yeah? So says the Gemara, he says, what about the Kesam itself? And says the Gemara, the Kesam does not have a shiur of Hotza'ah. Okay, the Trambas, we learned in the Mishnah, if you're going to take out wood from Reshut HaYachid to Reshut Rabim, in order for you to be chayav, you have to take out enough wood in order to cook an egg. If you don't have enough wood to cook an egg, so therefore you're going to be patur. So therefore, if you took out a small little tiny toothpick with a flame, it's not enough to cook an egg. So because of that, on the toothpick, you're going to be patur, right? And then therefore we said that you don't have enough because of the kesam. Okay? So now says the Gemara, right? So Abaye comes and he says, which means the Beitzah is talking about a case where they came and they anointed oil on top of a kli. The itzle benura. And then what happened is that it got into a fire, which means that since the shalhevet is grabbing onto a utensil, you're chayav because of the taking out of the shalhevet as well, but it's on a utensil. So says the Gemara, but you took out the utensil. So you should be chayav because of the utensil, not because of the flame. So answers the Gemara, bechaspa. We're talking about earthenware. So you're not going to be chayav. So he says, 1 second, but why? Right? You should be chayav because of the chaspa, because of the earthenware. And says the Gemara, it doesn't have shiur. The Rambam we learned in the Mishnah, if you're going to take out earthenware, in order for you to be chayav on the earthenware on Shabbat, you need to have enough in order to fill up the space of 2 krashim of a maskeret of an entrance or a door or whatever it is. Okay, that's when you're going to be chayav. These are the words of Rebuda. Elahaditz, now, but that which we learned in the Mishnah, you're going to be patur. What's the case? That you went and you threw the shalhevet to the Reshut Rabim. So, for example, you had this esh, which is lit up, right, in the Reshut HaYachid, and then somebody was coming and he was blowing it. That was a picture that I showed you with the bellows, right? He comes, he starts blowing it to the Reshut Rabim. That was the case, right, that we just mentioned. Okay, fine. That's the case that it's going to be patur, because if it's going to be on anything else, you're always going to be chayav, whether it's because of the utensil or whatever it is. Okay, next Mishnah. So we're on the second Mishnah, Lamtet Amud Aleph. Bor shel yachid. If you have a pit that belongs to an individual, right? Here's the picture. The pit belongs to an individual. It's in a house. So therefore, this pit belongs to an individual, this bor. And that's where they come and they take out water. Okay, so bor shel yachid, keraglei yachid. So you could actually take it only to his tchum. So it means if I'm going to take water on Yom Tov from there, I can only go out to his tchum. Okay, but if it belongs to the city, so then whoever the city could go. Okay, if it's going to be from people that are going up from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, right? That means they're basically Bnei Agola, that they're going up to Eretz Yisrael. So then it's like how you are coming and you're filling it up. So wherever you filled it up, that's where you're able to transport it to. Okay, so says the Gemara. Rami le Rava Nachman. Rava comes and he asks Rav Nachman. Now we learned in the Mishnah, bor shel yachid, a pit that belongs to an individual, keraglei yachid belongs, right? So you could only go like the feet of the individual. Or minu, we have a contradiction. Narot moshchin. When you have rivers that the waters are moshchin, they're zormim, pulling. Mayanot novin, or you have a mayan, which is like a spring, right? Which are also novin, which are also they're flowing. Okay, so that means all these waters which are flowing. Okay, so therefore there's no tchum, because they just continue going. So anybody that's going could just continue going, do whatever he wants. Why? Because since they're always novim, so therefore they're always zazim. So there was never makom shvita. It was never that they were shovet. All the time they're moving. They're always going. It's always traveling. Okay. So Amar Rabba comes and he says, Hacha meiskina. So the question is, right? The same thing should happen with mei bor. Mei bor is not just water which is on the bottom; it's flowing water. Right? What is usually mei bor? Mei bor is you tapped into a water source, but the water on the bottom is not static. It's moving. It's flowing. You understand? It's always flowing, and it just continues going. So the same thing. So why do we say that it should be like a regle, the baalim or whatever? It should be like a regle kol adam. So Amar Rabba answers, what we're dealing with it, they were gathered together in one place, which means that they're not flowing. You gathered all the water together in one pit. It's not like a flowing underground water source that's just flowing. You come and you made a pit. It wasn't deep enough, but now all of a sudden water came in and it filled up. Yeah, so now I've got water, drinking water, right? Potable water that you're able to, but it's not flowing. So since it's muchunatzin, that's why it's like keraglei balim. Vitmar nami was also stated. Also the same. Fine. Next, 2 dots. So we said the people that are going up from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, they're doing aliyah leregel, right? So if they go up to the shalosh regalim, so what happens? Keraglei memaleh. Yeah, so they do like, right? It says over here, like the person that's filling up, right, the bucket. Itman was stated. Imagine right now I come, I filled it up and I gave it to my friend. Yeah, but I already knew I was giving it to my friend, which means I filled it up, but I filled it up for him. So Rav Nachman says, it's like the one that was filled it up for. Rav Sheshet says, no, like the one that filled it up. So basically here what we're trying to say is that there's a difference of opinion, right? Who does it go like? The one that you're filling it up or the one that was filled it up for? I filled it up for you, so do it go after you because I filled it up for you, or I was the one that filled it up, so it goes after me. That's a machloket. Okay, between Rav Sheshet and Rav Nachman. The Maika Mipalge, what is a machloket between them? More savar beira defkera. One of them holds that it's hefker. And therefore, since it's hefker, right, I cannot be zoche bechefze hefker for other people, right? But rather, I have to acquire it, and then I could give it to you. So if it's ownerless, and I come and I take something, I cannot take it for you. I have to first acquire it. Once I acquire it, now I can give it to you. But the second that I acquire it, so now it has my tchum. That's why it's like hefker. But the other opinion, which was of Nachman, he says beira de shutfehu. It's like a board of shutafut. That means we're all shutafim in it. All Bnei Yisrael are partners. Meaning, how do you look at this board? Do you look at this pit that it's ownerless, or that it's with 1 million partners, and every single Jew is a partner? That's the way you have to look at it. So Eitvei Rava Rav Nachman asks Rava to Rav Nachman, Hareni alecha cherem. Right? Imagine when a person comes and he makes a neder and he says, my money is asur to you like ekdesh. Meaning here was the other way around. The one before was, I come, I get into a fight with him, and I tell him nothing to do with him. Yeah, all the different, whether it's this, everything. Now it's the other way around. I get upset with you. What do I say? You're never allowed to benefit from any of my property. So I'm getting you in trouble. Before it was like, Kilu, like I want nothing to do with you, so Kilu, I don't need you. You understand? Now it's opposite. I don't, now you need me, and now tough luck. Now you're not going to get anything. Why? I prohibit everything of mine onto you. With the neder. Hamudar asu. So whoever the neder was placed on, asu. So now, for example, he can't benefit from anything like. You heard? Yeah? Sorry. 39b. Of course, because it's my property. It's my things. I'm prohibiting onto you, not something of yours. I cannot prohibit something of yours onto you. I cannot prohibit your phone onto you. But I can prohibit my phone onto you. Prohibit my shiur onto you. I can prohibit my table, my desk, my property onto you. Of course I can. It's mine. I'm the one that's given them permission, whether you could use it or not. Okay? Hare ata alai cherem. He says, what happens if he comes and he says, Anodel lecha, he says, you are onto me like a cherem. So then hanoder asu. So then it's the one that's making the neder. Because then he said, Are ata alai, you are onto me like a cherem. The first case is hareni alecha cherem. I am onto you a cherem. So if I'm onto you a cherem, you're not allowed to benefit from me. But if I say you are onto me a cherem, so then opposite, I'm not allowed to benefit from you. Hanoder asu. If he says hareni alecha ve'ata alai, he says both. I'm onto you and you're onto me. Shneim asurim zebezeh. So then nobody's allowed to benefit from each other, right? Umutanim b'shel ole bavel, but they're allowed to benefit by ole bavel. Okay, which means that they're allowed to benefit. Why? Because we just said that it's like hefker. Okay, but it's not like a shutafut. Because if it's a shutafut, no. But if it's a hefker, yes. If it's ownerless, yes. Asurim b'shel otayir, but they're not allowed to benefit from the same city. Okay, ve'elu hen dvarim shel ole bavel. So what belongs to the ole bavel? Harabait, right? The mountain, the temple mount. Right? Aleshachot, the leshachot in the Mikdash, like the chambers. Azarot, the azara, whether it's in the chatzarot and the Bet Hamikdash. Ubor shelem tzadderech, any pits which are in the middle of the path, traveling from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. Ve'elu en shelotair, what belongs to the city? Harechov, the city market. Ubet hakneset, ubet hamenchatz, and the synagogues and the bathhouses. All that belongs to the city. Okay? Now says the Gemara, Bi amarta beira de shutfehu. Now if you're going to tell me that the pits are of shutafim, that means everyone's shutafim in it. Why should it be permitted? If we both prohibited it on ourselves having benefit, so then we're not allowed to benefit also from the water of the pits. So Vatran we learned, you're not allowed to even go into a chatzet. So answers the Gemara, lirchotz babor. There we're talking about that you're not allowed to be rochetz in the bor. Hachinami, it's true. Here we're talking about to fill up the water, which means even though the bor is shayach to every single Jew as a shutaf, right, and it has water, nevertheless they're allowed to come and use from the water because of breda. More midideh kamemale, or more midideh kamemale, which means each one is filling up from his own water, and we're holding a breda. Remember what breda was? That retroactively, when I come and I pick up the water, retroactively I say this is my water, and you're going to take your water. You're going to say retroactively that's your water, which means that the pit in itself, and achanami belongs to me, but the water in the pit, right? That's not. But what it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to all of us because we're all partners. Okay. The Savar of Nachman, so says of Nachman, he holds of the Yesh Breda. But we learned in the Mishnah, what happens if you have brothers that they are partners in a Yerusha, in an inheritance from their father? Right? When they're going to be chayav a kalbon, this, if you remember what the kalbon was? We learned it in Shekalim. From the Torah, every single male is obligated to give machzita shekel for every single year for the korbanot, right? That's mina Torah. Okay, Chachamim came and they obligated, right, that a person should also give a matbea katan, small coin, which is called a kalbon. The reason why they did that is because since all the chatzei shekalim were very, very skinny and very easy to lose, the Gizberei Hekdesh used to come and they used to switch it, they used to change it for other coins. So since they used to change it for other coins, they had to pay a little bit like of a not a tax, but like exchange rate. So because of that, remember the synagogues, right, or the Beit HaMikdash will never lose out. So who pays that exchange rate? We do, the people. It would never be the Beit HaMikdash. The Beit HaMikdash never loses out. They're always there. Their money is always, their hand is always on the top. So because of that, right, that's what we're saying over here. This is exchange. Okay. So it says over here, when you have brothers that they are partners, so they're chayvim bekalbon, turim mimaser bema, since they are considered, right, the shutafim, so therefore shutafim are going to be exempt from maaser bema, from giving off maaser from animals. Ushechayvim maaser bema, but when they're going to be chayav and maaser bema, turim min kalbon, so then they're going to be patur from a kalbon because that means they're not partners. You understand? So it says over here, v'amar Ravana, it says Ravana, lo shanu, what are we dealing with? Right? Only if they started dividing, whether it's a gedi opposite a tle or a tle opposite a gedi. Remember, here we're talking about whether it's talking about a kid of a goat, yeah, the son of a goat, yeah. Opposite the sheep or the sheep opposite the kids, right? Because in such a case, they weren't how do you call it? They weren't dividing equally. Okay, but they didn't have equal portions. So you have to give this guy one type of an animal, the other one another type of an animal. But if they went and they actually divided everything equally, oh man, each one could say, this was from Breda, from the beginning. This is what was supposed to get to him. Rav Nachman says, even if they did divide the Gedim Keneged Gedim and Tzaim Keneged Tzaim, and Omer Zechelko Magia Mishad Rishona Lekach. They're not going to say anything. Yeah? Right? You don't say that. So for you see from here that he doesn't hold of Breda. So the question is, if Rav Nachman does not hold of Breda, why did you tell me that Rav Nachman does hold of Breda? Because that's what we just said here. Here we said Rav Nachman holds of Breda, that what happens? The pit belongs to everybody as a shutafut. But the water is going to be okay because of Breda. I thought Rav Nachman doesn't hold of Breda. And this was the proof that Rav Nachman doesn't hold of Breda. So answers the Gemara, you're right. Says according to everybody, the pit is ifker. The pit is ownerless, according to everybody. But over here, here we're talking about that you picked up an item for your friend. Mor savar kana, mor savar lo kana. One of them holds that you acquire it, and one of them holds that you do not acquire it, which means like this. I come and I find the lost object. I don't need it. Right? I don't need it. But then I said, you know what, but maybe my good friend, John Paul, the doctor, he needs it. For me, I don't need it. I'm never going to use it. But maybe for him, he need it. So what happens? I pick it up and I want to give it to him. Am I koneh when I pick it up or not? Okay, that's the question. Why? Because obviously, Mor Savar is koneh because I picked it up and now it's his. Yeah, and that's it. But that's according to Rav Sheshat. But according to Rav Nachman, right? It's if my kavanah is not to acquire it for myself, I cannot acquire it for my friends. Because since it was hefker, if it was hefker, it was ownerless. So now I can't acquire. I have to acquire it myself and then give it to the friend. So because that's the machloket that we just mentioned. Okay, fine. Last Mishnah, and then we're going to stop. Okay, the Mishnah on the bottom of the Masechet Mubet. Imagine right now I had my fruits in another city during Ben Mashot. Right, it was outside of the tchum. So they went and they put eruvet tchumin in order to bring the fruits to him. They cannot do it for him. Right? Why? Because since all the perot, right, the bala perot, the owner of the perot, did not put an eruv, so therefore they cannot extend his eruv. Meaning, I'm the owner of the fruits. I didn't put an eruv, so it doesn't help me that the rest of the city came and they put an eruv in order that I could bring the fruits in. I'm the owner. If I didn't put the eruv, it doesn't help me, right, that you guys put the eruv for it.
It doesn't apply for us when we want to carry something that we're not the one who put up the eruv.
No, because that they're doing it for everybody. That's something different. And you know that. No, but that's what he's saying. He's saying it's not, because this is eruv tchumin, right? It's a little bit different also. But this is the eruv that we're doing here is we're trying to make it all one chatzer. That's what they try to do. The eruvim here, right? It's not eruv tchumin. Here we're trying to do it as a tchum, right? But if he made the eruv, right? It says over here perotav kamo. So then his perot are like him, and he's allowed to take it wherever he wants.
So me, would allow you to go further than 2,000 amot? Yes.
Why? Because you're putting your tchum further down. So now your tchum of 2,000 amot are extended. Okay. Misha zimen etzlo orchim. We're on Mema Mudalef on the top, just the Mishnah. We're finishing. Misha zimen etzlo orchim. Imagine right now you invite guests. So lo yolichu biyadam manot. So now when they're going back to their city, they cannot come and start taking what they want. Unless he was mizakeh otam, right? That he would give it to them as a zechut from erev Yom Tov, then they could take it back to their city. So that's the way of that. I would have to give it to somebody else. For example, I could give to Ronen in order that David will come in and acquire. So I come and I give to Ronen. I said, pick it up, and now it's his. Many times we do that with the bar mitzvah presents on Shabbat. If you're going to give a bar mitzvah present on Shabbat, what do? You take the book, you give it to him, and tell him, pick it up for this guy. And then he picks it up. Now he was zochet to him. So now you're allowed to give it to him on Shabbat, because he was already. Okay, Kilo to do the show. Okay, very good. Very, very good. We'll be in touch and call